I just want to make sure. I have to make sure the mics are working. That's why I say it. That's why I do it.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. Okay. All right, everybody. Number what?
This is 11. Right?
Sure about that one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Top of my,
Yeah, it's 11. It's 11.
11.
It's odds. Odds on Tuesdays, evens on
Thursdays. Yeah.
That's right. This is
I was gonna tell you, we need to change that picture that you posted, or like graphic picture.
What are you talking
about? The one on our YouTube page, like our cover picture, like the original picture we took. I'm talking about, because I don't look like that anymore.
Doesn't matter, man.
I think I need to.
No, that's you.
The beard, man.
Mm.
All right,
We're leaving it.
All right, whatever.
It's you, man. It's you. Just accept it for what it is.
Whatever. All right. Look weird, but
a little bit.
Yeah, we need to change it.
When all our beards are growing.
Yeah.
Cause
corn.
I mean, well, yeah. Because if you cut your hair, and then we're not cutting our hair. So if you just trim your beard and not your hair, like it'll be thick on top but skinny on the bottom. If you grow facial hair, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah, but I'm gonna grow my hair out.
That's what I'm saying. So most people are growing their beards out too, so it could be like symmetrical.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, look like a homeless person.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for.
Okay. Yeah, that's why people are scared of you when they walk by.
When they look at me when I go into Target without a mask on.
Yeah, exactly. So we've kind of started to target a little bit of most of our listeners here, as most of y'all are part of the millennial generation. So we kind of just thought that maybe it would be best for us to kind of sit down and talk about like the most problems that we face as millennials.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of problems that we tend to face from day to day. Every year. I mean, it just seems like all the statistics are just mostly against
they're against
millennials.
Us. Yeah, they're against us. The odds are against us.
The odds are not in our favor.
Yeah.
And I think it's worthy to talk about these things and try to develop some sense of a solution with most of these problems. So what I kind of done here was it's just a basic article. It talks about the 10 most serious problems faced by millennials. And we're going to talk about these problems and go through them and try to see if we can try to decipher like a solution to these problems, or just talk about what most of these problems kind of entail and what they mean and kind of how we go through them.
Yeah.
And try to
how we handle them, basically.
How we handle them, how we beat the odds in terms of what these statistics kind of show here. So.
Yeah. This is an article you just stumbled upon, right?
Yeah, I stumbled upon this because, I mean, it's pretty clear that we hear all the time, like, it's just like problem after problem, like, oh, millennials are doing this, they're lazy, living at home. I think I saw one, we're based here in San Antonio, Texas. I saw one, it was like, this is the largest amount of millennials up to age 29 that are living at home. And a lot of them are here in San Antonio. Like a lot of San Antonio people up to the age of 29, I think are living at home, like 70% or something like that. And it's funny to say that because San Antonio is, amongst other cities, are one of the cheapest places to live.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I think that's a stigma though, because like some people move back home, but like before you're 30, just to like restructure your life, kind of.
Maybe, but I mean,
so I think that people, especially like older generations, see that as a bad thing.
Right.
But like not always. I mean, sometimes it's just we just need to restructure.
Right. I mean, it's always thought that we're supposed to be moving out at a certain age, a certain thing.
Yeah, I have a whole lot to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of like a societal thing.
It's a societal thing. It's like if you move back home, you're a failure. Like no.
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
Because there's just sometimes you need to rethink and like recoup and like maybe.
Well, we'll get into that because there's I think there's.
I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, there's a pattern you'll see with these problems and the reason why I think there's a lot of younger generation millennials living and or moving back home.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
We'll talk about that. So problem number 1 on this list, it says here, millennials are the brainiest, best educated generation ever, according to a special report compiled by The Economist. So millennials...
so we're the smartest as a whole?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what does that mean? It means that we're most educated.
Right.
That means we're the highest level. generation with the most amount of college degrees.
Gotcha.
So
No, I
higher
mean, yeah.
education.
Because that's what we've been bred as a generation.
Yeah,
You gotta
absolutely.
go to college.
Gotta go to college.
Always, always, always.
And it says here, this is from whitehouse.gov. It says here, millennials also stand out because they're the most diverse and educated generation to date. About 61% of adult millennials have attended college, whereas only 46% of the baby boomers did so. So,
different time.
Yeah, different time.
And the other thing was, like, I think for people like the baby boomers, college was like this, like, prestigious, like this.
It was very
big
prestigious
thing. Like, oh my god.
And that's why it was.
It's so special back then.
It was so special and bred to us that we needed to go and do it.
And now it's like going to college, like how you were bred. I thought I had to go to college.
I never knew. Yeah.
See?
So in one of the previous episodes, I was saying, like, I never knew that even college was an option. I thought that was just something you had to go and do. Like when I was a kid, I didn't know.
See, and that's the difference between the generations, man. That's huge.
It's big.
I mean, they and you can kind of tell. Like, my grandparents probably didn't go to college, man. Like,
no. Yeah.
Because it was just like probably this like prestigious.
My grandmother didn't go. My grandfather did.
Oh.
But he went at a later age.
See.
So.
But back in his time, like when he was probably our age, it was just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
No.
And I think we'll talk about this too. But the cost of college, I think, was about $2,000 for the year when he was back in college. Every year. Inflation obviously regarding inflation, but even if you were to do that, crazy. It was still, it would amount to like being like 10 times cheaper, like as opposed to how much it is now. Wild. But we'll get into that as well. So 61% of us are educated. And this doesn't seem like a really big problem at first. Like, okay, we're really educated. That's great.
Great thing.
But what does that mean in terms of trying to obtain a position or a job?
That there's triple the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition, right?
Yeah.
A degree is just not as important
it's really
not worth as much as it was back then. It's almost equivalent, and we hear it, but like a high school degree.
I think that it is depending on the school you go to. I think that different degrees hold different weights. Like you're not going to compare a UTSA degree to like a Vanderbilt degree. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to hold the same weight.
Ivy League.
And the thing that pisses me off is that the only reason that it's different is because one costs more than the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like or the status that comes with the.
Yeah, there is absolutely status. So obviously, like if you go to a higher level institution, they're going to see that, hey, you graduated from this and this and there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if this person. If I see like a A person and a B person, I see a person with institution, like a high level institution degree, and I see someone that has a low level institution degree, but with a lot of experience, that person with the experience is going to pick.
Yeah. Well, that
90% of the time.
That's the crazy thing. Remember, I was applying for a lot of jobs like a couple months ago, and even in places I was technically qualified, you needed 7 years of experience. So I was automatically not even close to being a candidate.
Yeah.
Not even close. So I'm just like, you kidding me?
I think the college degree is not. It's like it's not as important.
It's not. It's have you done the job and can you do it well? It's no longer you're educated. It doesn't matter anymore.
No. It also says here that the supply of educated workers is much higher than the demand for them. So, like we were talking about now, like experience is more important. It also says here that 39% of people under 25 are either unemployed or underemployed. So that is targeting millennial generation under 25. So we're either unemployed or underemployed, which means
underpaid, I would say.
Right, underpaid.
Yeah. And
not at the position that we could technically should be working for, but we can't because it's pretty much already taken.
Right.
Obviously, like regarding the circumstances now, I mean it's the statistics now are obviously going to be way off, considering the pandemic and situation we're in now. But it's pretty much only getting worse.
Yeah.
There's a gradual
decrease
in jobs available, and a gradual increase in unemployment and underemployment.
It was kind of brought to light now because people are realizing like how underpaid people really are, dude. Especially with the whole stimulus check, like they're like trying to give you like a Band-Aid on a like massive cut on people, bro. It's like $1,200 is what some people make every 2 weeks, and it's just like the government and like kind of people higher up are realizing like, holy shit, this is like not enough.
Yeah.
And people are kind of causing outroar, like a big problem over it,
right?
Because like
$1,200 only gets you so far.
People aren't paid enough, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, like.
And they were even, I think they were, and not to get in the politics too much, but I think people were worried about sending these certain unemployment or stimulus checks out because they were worried that it was going to be like a little bit more than what they're typically making at their positions.
And it wasn't, dude. That's crazy.
And even with those things in place, like I feel like people were still having a little bit of problems.
Oh yeah, because $1,200. If you're in debt, think about it. If you're in a lot of debt, does $1,200 do anything?
No. Yeah.
No.
It depends on the situation, but
I mean, yeah, but
overall, I mean, if I sit and get $1,200 in my account, I don't feel like it's a whole lot of money.
No, it didn't. It's just like kind of like maybe a short-term relief, but
it's a short-term relief.
It goes to bills, and then you're done.
Yep.
It's over.
It's over.
And I think a lot of kids, the kids that just graduate from college, like that want to start their lives, are put in a hole already because of all the debt they owe.
Right.
So this $40,000 a year they make doesn't really do much of anything.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that as well. So it says here, problem number 2. The U.S. Census data shows that 40% of our nation's unemployed are millennials. So 40% of our nation's unemployed are of the millennial generation.
Right.
And to kind of like speak in terms of the ages, that's going to apply to ages 18 to 33. So the age of 18 to 33 is what this article looks like it's referencing.
And we're the most unemployed people.
40% of our nation's unemployed are from millennials.
I see it, man. I saw it firsthand. Like people that are trying to get jobs. Like I try to get jobs, and I think I got turned down by like almost every single one of them because you don't have experience.
In fact, my first position right out of college from UT was working on the baseball fields or softball fields.
Yeah,
I was getting paid $9 an hour.
And you were degreed by the University of Texas.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Yep. Because I couldn't find anything.
Does that not blow your mind, dude?
Yeah, and I had to argue with them saying like, man, I just got out of college, this and that, and I think they bumped me out to about $11 an hour. Yeah.
Fuck, man.
It's tough. Yeah, it's bad. But that's what I was doing. I was working on softball fields.
It's wild, man.
Yeah. So unemployment is pretty high for millennials, and it's becoming like a youth problem. Like it's a problem.
It's kind of shoved under the rug a little bit because no one really.
Well, it's kind of more so like I feel like it is what it is. That's it. There's no solution.
It's tough for everybody. That's what they're gonna tell you.
Yeah. There's really no solution. That's basically what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, especially right now, it's only getting worse. So,
right,
there is really no solution besides go work somewhere and get experience, and then come back when you're done in 7 years.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, so problem number 3. There wasn't really much to say about that other than the fact that high unemployment. Yeah, amongst the younger generation people. Americans between 18 and 34 are earning less today than the same age group did in the past. Now, it says the average earnings are the lowest they have been since the 1980s. So the typical millennial earned $33,833 between the years of 2009 and 2013, while in the year 2000, young people were earning an average of $37,355. So that's not even factoring in inflation.
Yeah.
Because if inflation was factored into this, you would think, oh, well, we're earning the same amount in the 2000s, but because of inflation, like blah, 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 it's not worth the same. But we were literally, on average, the millennial generation was making about $4,000, $3,000 less on average than people were in the year 2000.
I think that's because people, I think our age were just starting to go to college.
Yeah. I
think that was when college, like the people were going to college, and I think that a college degree was still held to a higher standard at that point too. I think. Yeah. And it probably wasn't as widely
accepted
seen
to go to a good school.
I think that might be a reason for that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no other explanation other than that the economy crashed in 2008.
Right.
And things are just drastically changing. But I mean, that's still tough to pinpoint a reason why.
And those guys were the ones obtaining the positions from getting the college degree. I mean, it was slowly more and more people were going to college, more and more more jobs were getting filled. Yeah. And then lack of jobs being created. So.
Yeah, that could be the reason for that. That's the only reason I could think of why. I mean, well, that goes into more political and all of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, you can really. There's a whole slew of reasons that you could really get into for that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So, and now this was interesting to me. It's an interesting thing to know because it kind of all adds up to each other. But it says here millennials are reporting the highest levels of stress and depression than any other generation at the same age. Okay. It says millennials are getting hit hard by depression. It says here 1 in 5 young workers has experienced on-the-job depression, compared to only 16% of Gen Xers and baby boomers. USA Today shows stress levels for most Americans are falling, but not amongst the millennial generation. Why do you think that is? Like, it's funny because you see all these issues, see all these problems. We're trying to obtain financial stability in our lives, right? Finding a decent paying job, a decent job to work at in general. Yet those things are very scarce. And now you're seeing a lot of more of this generation becoming a lot more stressed out, depressed, have a lot more anxiety issues.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure you have to make ends meet, but a lot of people can't. They just physically can't because they're not getting paid enough. They have all kinds of loans from all over the place. They're probably being forced to say, you need to start your life, you need to go out and do this. So they go out and buy shit, car, house,
I feel like now
apartment.
we're also listening. Like we've been really, like, I feel like a lot of our generation has been listening to a lot of other people rather than ourselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a big problem. Like,
yeah,
we're always told to respect your superiors, this and this and that. Like, you know, listen to your parents, this and this and this and this and this, right?
Right.
And we take that seriously.
Yeah,
and so whenever those superiors or older people are telling us to do a certain thing, we listen to them. In fact, I was having a conversation the other day with one of my friends from Chaos Fit, and she was just so torn up on doing something she wanted to do. I think she wanted to enlist in the military, and that was just what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And she just had a hard time, like, building up the courage to tell her parents that that's what she wanted to do, because her parents want her to do something else. And I think that's a really, really big problem nowadays, because since we're listening so much to other people rather than ourselves, we're getting our college degree, that's fine. We're working these jobs, that's fine. But now that's all it is. Like, it's all about, you need to make this amount of money now. You need to be moving out now. You need to be doing this now. Getting a college degree now. Working this specific job now. Like,
and I think that's the problem, dude, is like a lot of, especially parents, especially when they're funding you, they feel that they have authority to tell you, like, hey, I'm paying for you.
I totally,
so you're gonna do this.
That's a big point.
I think that's a big deal, and I think that's like
it's more so like, if you expect me to fund you, you better be getting your ass in school.
I think that's the biggest. That's the biggest misconception that parents have.
We feel a lot of pressure to want to do certain things.
Yeah, you have a lot of pressure, but like parents are like they and this is really fucked up. They think that they have to. It's more of a pride thing for them, for you to do what they want you to do, because that's gonna make them look good. Yeah, and I've seen that so many times.
That's a really good point.
They want you to do X so that you're successful, because that's a direct impact back on them, rather than, hey, do what makes you happy, because that's what's ultimately the goal.
And I think another thing is, like, they don't want to be seen like, oh, my son or daughter is a failure because they're here at home. Yeah. Not making a whole lot of money doing what they love.
It's a big deal. Yeah. It makes them look like they've raised a failure.
You're right.
And that's just that generation of adult.
I totally agree.
Because, I mean, it's like you should have money in the bank. You should be living in an apartment. You should be paying. Because when I was your age,
when I was like,
I had all this. I did all this. And I was on my own.
That's
and I was
a really good point.
That's how they think. So that's what they implore on you
to do.
And it's like, the shit's not the same, dude.
It's not the same.
It's not.
Like, it's changing every single year.
You didn't go to college and get put in all this debt.
No.
You know, things didn't cost as much as they cost back then.
Right.
You know, and to be honest, like, it's like kind of like a lot of people got a lot married and they were conjoined a lot earlier. So like, I'm pretty sure my parents were probably married at this.
Well,
24,
it's 25. Funny you mentioned that. One of my friend's parents, they got married at like the age 23.
Yeah.
So they've already solidified
they've done it. It's
a dual together, kind of like bank account to like pay off stuff. Yeah.
It's like, so your income's doubled. Like, no shit, you're gonna have a little more than, like, we're trying to figure this out by ourselves. Yeah. Like, alone. And that's a tough thing to do when you make $40,000 a year. How are you supposed to? And like, the cost of living, like an apartment, a car, loans, that costs probably more than your monthly check. Yeah. Like, and that's what people don't understand, man.
And it's not so much to say that like we're making an excuse about it. No. Obviously, we're trying to like.
Now, an excuse would be like, oh, I just like, would be like trying to find pity, but a lot of people aren't finding pity. They're just legitimately trying to find a fucking solution.
Right.
They're not trying to ask you for your pity.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what that is. And like I'm living, like I personally have to live that.
Right.
And like it takes a lot of time to convince my mom, like, hey, dude, this costs this costs this costs this costs this. Like I'm not just trying to like fuck around and just try to like mooch money off people. Like, no, dude, this is reality. Like this isn't a joke.
Right.
Like, and that's how life is, and people don't see it that way.
Not to mention, like, even when I was applying to jobs, like they put like certain money amounts on like positions, or say like like when I talked about, you know, moving up the position at Team Express, like first thing I was told, oh, you're gonna be making 6 figures in like 2-3 years, and I was like, okay, like they want you to think they're gonna make a lot of money,
yeah,
and then you don't.
No,
you don't. And I mean, obviously, like the chasing money part isn't supposed to be the most important part, but like
no.
It becomes tough because so many things are costing so much more. I mean, even from like the 1960s and 70s, like college tuition has gone up 60%.
And I think it's more or less people want to have that, and it's the idea of like, I want to have a good time too because I'm so young,
right?
And I need to have a good time. I need to go out and have, and it's like
that's also true. Yeah,
it's like the point of like they need to pay bills, and they want to have a life,
right?
And all that costs. So it's like, I'm just gonna go. I have to take this job.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, maybe sacrificing a little bit, finding time to do what you want to do and like slowly build that up.
Right.
No one has the patience for that.
Yeah.
No one wants to do that. It's too much work.
Yeah.
It's easier to just go sit at a desk and type for 8 hours a day and come home and collect an easy check, and then just continue the cycle of like complaining and trying to pay off bills at the same time while trying to have a life. It's like, maybe, and that's what we were talking about, like moving home. Like sometimes you need to stop and restructure,
right? Cut
bills out,
right?
You know, but people don't want to do that.
Yeah, and this is what's going to come up next. So millennial problem number 5, it says college debt. Obviously, Americans owed more than $1.3 trillion in student loans at the end of June. This was June last year. More than 2.5 times what they owed a decade earlier. That's only 10 years ago. 2.5 times more. About 4 in 10 of millennials have student debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that should be higher.
Yep. That's what it says here. This was 2016. So 2016 survey of household economics and decision making. About 4 in 10 of millennials aged 18 to 29 currently have student loan debt. And I think that's increasing.
That's definitely increased.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's increasing. Like I was saying, like, I mean, it's increased 60% since the 70s.
Yeah. College tuition.
And obviously more and more of us are getting more degrees, so what does that mean? More and more of us
yeah.
I mean, the loan debt is getting higher.
Yeah.
And so, pretty straightforward point. And obviously, we'll talk about the solutions to these problems, how we deal with these after I kind of go through them. But going back to your point, it's becoming more common for millennials to live at home.
Yeah. But that's seen as such a societal flaw.
Like, it is. Like that's such a big problem.
Yeah, dude. But
for young people,
that's like self-realization to know, like, holy shit, like I cannot afford this, and people don't want to admit that because then it makes you look like a fucking loser.
Yeah, and I was worried about that whenever I moved home.
Yeah.
I think that was like the biggest thing. Like I didn't want to tell my friends, or like you know, I didn't want my parents telling other parents that I moved back home. But it was for a bigger purpose. Like I needed to save money, and I want to try to get ahead as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that was, I thought about just pocketing that amount of money I was paying rent in every single month. Like it wasn't so much the fact that I couldn't pay it. It was the fact that, like, hey man, I want to get ahead.
Yeah.
Maybe living at home won't be so bad. Like, you know, more and more people are doing it nowadays. So I think instead of like criticizing one another, saying like, hell, you're a fucking loser for moving back home, like we should implore the fact, obviously considering the circumstances we're dealing with here now, and the inability to get like a higher paying job at a younger age or whatever, higher loans, like it needs to be known that it's okay.
It is
to kind of move back.
It is okay, but it's like it's the same thing with like you're more concerned about what everyone else is going to think rather than what's best for you.
Right.
And I think that's the bigger issue there.
On the flip side as well, like I also think like if you are planning on moving back home, like it's going to be harder because your parents are going to want to pressure you to do certain things and make a certain amount of money and move out at a certain time. But like
not all are like that though.
Not all are like that. Not all. I'm not saying that it's all parents. Obviously, like it's just you know, if they do that.
Yeah.
Like you got to learn to kind of just stand your ground a bit. You know, I feel like as a young person in the millennial generation, like you got to learn that you've got to stick to your guns and kind of like let them know and sit them down and have a conversation like, look, these things aren't the same anymore. You know, I'm looking to save money. I'm looking to try to get ahead. I respect the fact that you financially support me by giving me a shelter, a home, a roof over my head. Like, but ultimately, like if it's something that you're trying to get ahead on, like, and you don't want to be stuck like working a job and paying off rent, like, you got to learn to like kind of stick up to them. I think like that's an important thing to do.
Oh yeah.
And I had to do it myself, obviously, but like that's like one of the first things I think that's really important to do. Like, just if it's something that you think you should do, level with them, and understand like what's the main reason you're moving back home, and that we should make it so that it's okay to do those things and not look down on somebody, depending on a person's situation. So it says here, as of 2016, remember this is from 2016, and this number might be increasing, 15% of 25 to 35-year-old millennials were living at home at their parents. This is 5 percentage points higher than the share of Generation Xers who live in their parents' home in the 2000s, and 10%, which is nearly double, of the silent generation who lived at home in 1964. So in the 60s and 70s.
I think the Gen Xers thing, and this is like my brother and like his age group, and like maybe like now my sister's going into college and stuff. Living at home, it's you're still technically living at home because your mom and dad are paying for your fucking rent. I've just seen that too many times. Like my brother's friends, they're living in apartments.
So you're saying the percentage might be higher because
but then again, that's such a flawed thing. It's like people that are like, especially those kids that are living in apartments and shit.
Right.
They're not even paying for their rent. So they're technically, I would still count those, and I don't know if that's how that is. I would say that those kids should still count. Like you're still on your parents' payroll. They're paying for it.
Right.
You're just not there.
I see what you're saying. Like, so more and more students obviously are moving out.
Yeah.
To college.
To live with your friends.
But
it's still on your parents' dime.
But is it? Because when you take out loans, some of those loans pay for the apartment on campus.
I guess I'm saying a good amount.
Yeah.
Some. And I'm not specifically talking to the ones that are on campus. I'm talking to the ones that live on campus.
I understand your point. I
lived with I knew a lot of guys that were like playing ball and like their parents.
It's not like you're sitting there working and paying off your own rent.
Their parents are paying their rent and they're just off campus.
Right.
So it's like you're still technically, you're not living at home, but you're living at home. They're paying for it.
Yeah.
You're just living off of them.
Right.
So
you're on your parents.
Yeah. It's not the same. So like, yeah, you're moved out, dude. Cool. But like, you're not paying for it yourself.
Right.
So that's what I think when it comes to that.
So after college, it says here, millennials experience greater difficulty in securing a job that utilizes their degree than those of a similar age a decade ago. So it says on this study, only 55% landed a job relevant to their field, to their field of study, with 25% finding interim work. So jobs that are unrelated to their field of study, and that basically the youth plan to leave quickly. And I think we were part of that percentage.
Absolutely. My degree is in exercise and sports science, and I'm a marketing coordinator.
Yeah.
I'm
a psychology major, and I'm a bid representative.
You go to college, and you're like, oh, you got to prep. You're going to college, you can become this, and it's like you go to college, graduate, and you don't even get to do that.
And then you apply to those jobs, and they brush you out because
you're not ready.
You're not ready, or the position's not open, or lack of positions.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Obviously, those are things you take into account when you do select a major, but like, it's not.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not as easy as 1, 2, 3 apply and then get accepted.
People I know that are they just like they go to school for like, what's your psychology, and they turn into salesmen.
Yeah. Because why?
Because there's nothing else.
That and then sales jobs and they're paying a little bit more.
Yeah. Money.
And you basically, and you know what? I don't think that sales jobs actually aren't too bad, because you're kind of in control of how much you make based off how much work you put into it, and of course what you're selling.
Yeah.
So in that respect, like I feel like.
But the point I'm trying to make is that it's not what you
right.
Are putting
we'll get to that, but like it's basically not what you
signed up for,
studied for, spent all the money for, what you got educated for. Like it's typically not. So, um, so while millennials are at home and living at home more often, it also says here that obviously we're less likely to be homeowners than young adults in previous generations. Um, there are fewer millennials as independent renters or homeowners. So that's a big one. Independent renters. That means just solely renting on your own.
Yeah.
In a house, like basically like a homeowner house.
I can guarantee
you're going to be living with
will
fucking 3 or 4 friends.
Or they won't get approved.
That too.
Because their debt to income ratio is too high.
Yep. Your credit score is low, and basically you've got a lot of debt.
You won't get approved. You won't get approved by yourself.
Yeah.
You need a cosigner, which means you need mom or dad or a friend or 2 friends, 3 friends to all sign on that damn thing to make sure that it's just impossible, dude.
Yeah.
It's impossible. I didn't even get this part. My mom had to co-sign because my debt to income ratio is too low.
Yeah.
Tells you, man. It's insane.
Yep.
So like firsthand, like it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
To go rent somewhere on your own, to get a car by yourself.
Yeah.
And you're in debt $50,000 already.
Right.
Because no creditor is going to sit and say this kid can afford it when they look at your income to what you already have to pay, to what you already owe. It's impossible.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. Yet your parents are saying you should be doing this and you should already have this. It's like, dude, look at my credit. Like,
yeah,
what?
I know.
Look at my data sheet, dude.
I also think that it also creates a problem because we're expected to have these certain things, and those certain things means you're successful. Like, for example, having a car, having a home, or an apartment. Mm-hmm. We're automatically told, like, oh, well, we're not told, but you look at those things and you see someone have those things and you think,
yeah, they got their shit together. Yeah,
they got their shit together. No. Whereas it's really just putting you behind.
Well, if you can afford it and it's not hurting you, you know.
Right, but most young people have trouble affording those things, and they have to get co-signers for those things. Mm-hmm. And then you just see that people get the freaking car, and they see they post it on social media, and they think, oh, dude, they got it. I need to get my car. But they're like, oh shit, I can't. Let me just get my parents to fucking co-sign on that shit because I got $30,000 in loans. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I don't think that our level of success should be leveled to having a vehicle or a car at all.
Yeah, that goes back to
that shouldn't be a thing.
So that goes back to society and what they think success is, man. Because like,
and that's what puts us behind, man.
Yeah,
that's what puts us behind.
Success is not. You can't put a dollar amount on success, man. Like, or the amount that
or a material thing.
No, man. It's like, are you like waking up like happy to live your life every day?
I think, and this is just kind of sidetracking, but I really do, like, we talked about success before, but I really think success as a whole is just progression. Yeah. If you're progressing. Yeah. Whatever it is that you're doing, like if you're progressing in something, like that's success. That's being successful. That's like a major part of being successful.
If you're like doing what you want, success, man.
Yeah. But you're progressing at it. Because if you're failing at it, obviously that's success. You know what I mean?
Obviously,
but I'm saying, like, if you're progressing in something and you're putting like effort towards it and you're making progression, like, that's success.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're working with what you like love, that in itself should be success, because you shouldn't work a day in your life if you're doing what you really enjoy every single day.
Yeah.
So, but people they see success as, I have $1 million.
Yep.
But and you cry yourself to sleep every night.
Right.
So are you really successful?
Yep. And we talked about that in our second episode, so if you want to check that out, So, okay, after that, it says millennials are financially fragile. Yeah. So 63% of millennials would have difficulty covering an unexpected $500 expense. That's a big number. Yeah. 63% of people can't afford $500 expense. $500 problem came up.
You're fucked.
Yeah, can't afford it. It's a big one. That's a problem.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, that's tough. It says here only 6% of millennials feel that they are making a lot more than required to cover basic needs. For millennial women, the figure is only 3%. 44% would dedicate $5,000 in lottery winnings to paying off bills and loans, signaling a struggle to launch, save, and invest. So that goes back on talking about, like, it's hard to take off. Like, it's hard to launch.
You're not going
your life.
Yeah, it's like that's crazy things. Like when people ask, like, "Oh, if you had $1 million, what would you do?" And I'd be like,
loans.
The first thing that comes to my mind is pay off debt, pay off my loans, pay off my loans. Like that's, and it's like crazy because like that's supposed to be a fun question. Like what would you get? Like where would you live? Mm-hmm. Like the idea of like money falling in my lap like that would be like just fucking pay off my debt. Yeah. And I can guarantee there's a lot of people that think the same way.
Right. Totally agree. Yeah. But yeah. One more problem, and then we'll kind of just like go over I guess like
the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about the gist of it and what I kind of think of it. So last problem says fewer and fewer millennials are becoming entrepreneurs. It says here, the U.S. Small Business Administration reports that indicates that entrepreneurship is lower amongst millennials. And it says in 2014, less than 2% of millennials reported self-employment, compared with 7.6% from Generation X and 8.3% for baby boomers. It says here the Kauffman Foundation implies that millennials ages 20 to 34 represented about 23% of new entrepreneurs in 2013, which is down from 35% back in 1996. So what does all of this mean? There's a pretty common thing. Like it shows here, like why are fewer and fewer millennials becoming entrepreneurs?
Debt.
You can't afford it. We got to get a job.
Yeah.
Right. So most millennials are going and getting a job.
Like people that graduated from high school and became entrepreneurs out of high school in 1999 probably had more money that they could allocate towards their their building of a business.
There's not so much money being pulled out for loans or anything else for that matter. Yeah. So the common theme is that there's a struggle to launch, there's a struggle to save, there's a struggle to invest. We have lots of loans to pay off. We can't cover certain expenses. We're not buying houses as much. We can't afford houses. We're living at home more often, and amongst all of that, we're more depressed, we're more anxious, we're stressed, all sorts of stuff. So, it's a common theme that
and this is
there's a huge problem
kind
here.
of a hot take. I think kids our age have been babied a lot too.
So what does that have to do with these things?
These problems come up, and a lot of times, and like I'm living it, bro. I have like $47,000 in debt. I have a lot of money in debt. I have to work a job. But like I still find time to do other things. It's just how you allocate your time, how you allocate your money, and how you like allocate like what you put your stress and stuff towards. Mm-hmm. So like people that find all these problems, like there's this small percentage that are in a lot of debt, make a little amount of money, and still make shit work.
Right.
It's just the idea. A lot of times people will dwell on those problems. Like that's a lot of shit.
Right.
But like you're gonna let it determine everything else.
I do think that you have a point. So like I do feel like if those are problems that you are facing, it shouldn't be so much like holy shit. Like it
can be detrimental, dude. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, but that you're gonna find a way to get past it ultimately. Like
absolutely.
Obviously, you can make. So for us, like for me, like obviously, we create a position for us to be successful. And what does that mean? It means like most of my income that I do make, I'm saving.
Right.
I'm pocketing it. I'm not buying. You're not buying stupid shit, right? Mm-hmm. You're not, going and traveling out of your budget. You're not buying things that are above your budget or any of those sorts of things.
It's like you make a paycheck. Let's say you work at a full-time job and you have all these bills. Like it's possible. Mm-hmm. And it's like you make X and you have to pay this, and this, and so you have $700 left. Right. Right after you pay all your bills, you get $700 till your next payday. Right. A lot of people go and spend. They say, "Oh, I have $700." Yeah. And they're like, rather than sitting on it and say, "I'm gonna buy $150 of groceries, I'm gonna stay in. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put $200 towards X, what I like to do." Right. And it's like people don't want to do that because it's like, and considering a different time period, you can go out and do shit. Mm-hmm. They go out and they blow stupid amounts of money.
And that was part of what you were saying earlier. Like it's almost a mix of like trying to like enjoy your life,
and then
as well as trying to pay off these things.
Right. Yeah. And it's like if you want to, but like the thing is like people want three. They want to pay off their debt, they want to live their life, and then they want to go after their dreams.
And it just won't happen.
You got three things.
You got to think about what's most important.
Something's gonna have to give. Yep. And it's like.
You got to think about what's most important. Yeah. Like it's either like you adapt to the situation, what's going on now, or you sit there and ponder and dwell on these problems and just that's it.
I think entitlement's huge too. I think a lot of people in millennial generations feel like they're entitled to shit. Yeah. It's like you're not. Like, yeah. Like if people go around, they think, "Well, I'm in all this debt. I went to college. Like I'm owed this." Like no.
It's so funny. Like people like glorify like us being in college, and they don't realize like, holy shit, I'm fucking $40,000 in debt.
Yeah, it's like
while holding this piece of paper degree. Like it's just it's like such a high thing, achievement and everything.
It's not. I don't think it is. I think it's something you paid for.
Yeah. It is. Well, you pay for it.
You bought it. It's like the kids that are like say like you're so fortunate you got to go to a university. It's like, yeah, but like I'm paying for it. Yeah. Like it's not that I just like somebody like some kids get to go for free. That's a great thing. Mm-hmm. Others are like I paid for it. I'm sitting with a bill on my credit score that says I paid for this piece of paper that doesn't mean jack shit to me right now. Right. But what I meant was like there's the entitlement is like a lot of kids our age, they paid all this money and they're pissed off because they think that they're owed a bunch of shit.
Like owed like a job.
I'm owed this.
Yeah.
I went to college. I'm owed this job. Why do I not have this job? It's like, dude, you're not owed jack shit. Like,
yeah.
You'll learn it sooner or later.
And that's just part of like
life, dude.
It's life. Like it's a cold world.
Yeah, it's fucking awful, dude.
Yeah.
But, like that's how you make the most out of what you have.
Right.
That's it. That's a huge thing, and like you have to know that this world doesn't know you jack shit.
Yeah, and it's also a matter of just living below your means, man.
Yeah,
I think
living in your really you should live below just so that you save more money.
You're right.
People don't want to do that because I'm not getting to live the life I wanted to.
So in a way that like millennials living at home,
yeah,
like the statistic of them living at home more often is actually a pretty good thing, I think, just because we're adapting to the situation. Our generation is adapting to the situation, so more of us are living at home, so that way we can save money. Yeah. And I think that is a very intelligent thing to do.
Absolutely.
However, that doesn't mean like just because you live at home and you don't have a rental expense doesn't mean like you go and buy stupid shit like go and buy a freaking car or a brand new vehicle. Buy one that's used. Yeah. Look at used options. That doesn't mean go and travel freaking Hawaii and spend $20,000 on a Hawaii trip or wherever. Just buying things you just don't need.
Yeah.
It's living below your means. Like if you're moving back home or you're living at home right now or never moved out, like and your plan is to save money, save it.
Yeah, the idea that you're living this lavish lifestyle and buying all this dumb shit, but you're living at home with no rental expense is not real life. Mm-mm. And you're gonna go like flex on people that you have all this shit and you're doing all this cool stuff. I bought this, I bought that. Put in your Instagram story. I bought this, I bought that. Look at it.
Right.
But your ass is living at home. It's like
you're not.
That's not real, dude.
Yeah.
You're not paying jack shit. You're sitting your ass at home.
Right.
And you're buying dumb shit.
And you got loans to pay at the same time.
It's like, if you're hot shit, you're hot shit. Go live on your own and go pay for your own car, pay for your own car insurance, and then see if you have the money to buy all this dumb shit you're paying for.
Yeah.
But people don't. It's not how life works these days. People move home thinking like I have more money to spend,
right?
Rather than more money to put in my
save
pocket
and invest.
It's
right.
not the same thing.
Right. It's not. And another thing that kind of puts us back is the fact that, I mean, we talk about this one a lot about fear of missing out and losing out on experiences, and like obviously, like, I mean, we're talking about like people want to go and enjoy their life and live their lives and stuff like that, but like. People take that to the extreme. They do it every single weekend. They're going out and partying every weekend. They're still going to clubs. They're still doing those sorts of things because they don't want to be left out. They want to have that sort of fun. But they'll easily drop $100, $200 a weekend on
I think FOMO
alcohol.
That comes from social media, man. They go on the morning after, like on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning, and you can see.
Our generation loves to go out to eat.
Yeah, and you can see what everybody's done the night before, and you're like, fuck, I didn't get to do that. Yeah. That seems way cooler than what I did last night. So then the idea is I'm going to top it. I'm going to go out tonight or next weekend, and I'm going to do something cool so I can post it on my story and make everyone else feel like they've missed out. And it's just this continuous cycle of.
I think the biggest thing for me was. So there's two things. The first one was letting people around me know that about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that means like, why am I moving back home? Like, so my parents first and foremost. What am I doing? Like, obviously, being furloughed right now in this position, like I wanted to go and have an opportunity to work on my own business, Balance Fitness Performance, as a personal trainer. But on the flip side, like it's a matter of me standing up and letting them know, like, hey, this is going to take time.
Yeah.
And I want you to respect my decision on having that time available to me and not rushing me out the door to get me to find a job and that's it.
Yeah.
Because that's not real success.
No.
That's what I think success is for me. That's not how I want. I mean, you got one life to live and that's what you're going to do it on. That's what you're going to spend your time on. No. So it's that part. But the second part is just coming to terms with basically who you are and not giving a fuck about what other people think. Like that has it's so like brutal to say, but like, I mean, just in general, but like, it's so true. Like you have to like really come to terms with the fact that none of those things matter. Buying extraneous shit doesn't matter. And I had to think about that for a long time. Like, man, like moving out of my apartment, buying certain furniture and like having like certain things around me and certain t-shirts and clothes, like that is so huge because I saved so much money doing that and not caring about what I have. Mm-hmm. But more so building my nest egg and like creating a path for me to be successful, like and in that sense being comfortable. Yeah. Like we always think about like getting a comfortable job with a comfortable pay and healthcare, but like how is that comfortable when you're just spending all the money you're making at that job on stupid shit?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That makes no sense. On the flip side, like like, why do you need all this money for other than to pay off debt? Like, you're expected to have like a certain amount of money, right? And get paid a certain, like, we're always reaching for 6 figures. Like, we're always need to our 6 figures. Like for people that even pay off their debt after that, like, oh, you need to get this job, take the high paying job, take the job, this and this and that, move here, move there. Like, we don't think about, like,
is that what you really want?
Right. We don't think about our own happiness. It's more so just like the number and the paycheck, and that's it. That's what we strive for, rather than the happiness. Like,
see, like,
that's a big problem.
Where you're at, where you like to talk about how you're doing. Like, I took a different route, and I don't tell anybody anything.
Yeah.
Until it happens. Like, I ran that thing that I told people I did that. Like, we do the podcast, we do that. Anything else, I don't really say anything about anything. I just don't care to tell people because you'd rather just sit in silence, and then when it's done, it's done. That's kind of how I take it.
God, I think this one pisses me off the most is when people says I'm working in silence, but they'll, like, post on Twitter.
Yeah, like, no, I'd just rather not
bro.
say anything at all.
It's just like,
you're working in silence.
You're not
you
working
want everybody
in silence,
to know
bro.
that you're working. Like, no, dude, I just, like,
that does make that.
I'll post on
Twitter
every once in a while. Like, I post on Instagram a lot because I do like to post that, like, I'm working out and we're doing a bunch of different stuff and the podcast and
yeah.
But, like, other than that, anything else that's happening, I don't really say anything to anybody.
Right. I think that it comes down to, like, being authentic. Like,
yeah,
that's authenticity at its
finest,
core.
yeah.
You know, like, I think if you're authentic with who you are,
yeah,
and what you're doing, like stop, like, if you're not listening to anybody else but you're doing you and you're being authentic and you're giving out authentic information, like, you're gonna be in a good spot.
Yeah.
And
it's just you don't want to be exposed either.
Right.
Which is like, I'm working
like
in silence, but I
fake.
want everyone else to know that I'm working and you don't know what's going on. It's like,
and we're saying all these things because it goes back into, like, the whole problem with these things, like,
yeah,
with saving your money and putting yourself in a position to succeed. Like, those are things that I do to put myself in a position to succeed, and that means creating a comfortable avenue for me to not go out and spend dumb shit, but to save and invest.
Yeah.
And it's clear here that there's just so many overarching issues that come with financial stability and stress and obtaining a job and moving out, and it really just comes down to just not giving a fuck and doing you. Like, you can't listen to parents as I know they're your parents, but, like,
sometimes, well, there's a time.
There's a time and place, yes, but when it comes to you and your life, it's no one else is living your life. It's just you, and I had to learn that the hard way. But we do need to make it more of a societal norm that it's okay to live at home, save your money, and then move forward.
It's not cool to save money and not have the nicest stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, oh,
yeah.
You're not seen as, like, trendy. You're not cool.
You're not cool.
You're not gonna get likes on Instagram or.
You have to get past the point of caring. Just stop caring.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to try to get past that myself, and it's tough, but it's more so just taking that leap, and really considering the circumstances now with all these problems listed here. Like, those are ways that I personally try to get ahead and try to put myself in a position to succeed and break out of these percentages and norms and all those sorts of things. Obviously, I'm not there yet, but I mean, these are things that we're doing every single day to try to get us out of that point. So,
anyway,
yeah, there's a lot of takeaways from this
episode.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
we post every Tuesday, Thursday. A lot of common themes we have here, so I feel like this was a good one.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of,
and these are things that people need to hear too. Like, we talk about these things and we say this often, but, like, these are things that we're currently experiencing ourselves.
Yeah, but we know that there's definitely other people that are experiencing the same thing. They have to be. Yeah. There's no way we're facing this shit alone.
No. And
absolutely,
we try to employ that to our audience.
Yeah.
As well. So I think this is a good way to hear from two normal dudes going through it as well. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So every Tuesday, Thursday, got videos posted. This is number 11, right? So this will be number 11. Go ahead, give us a like, follow, subscribe on YouTube. We have it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Give us a follow at the Common Ground Podcast.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thanks so much. Love y'all.
Yeah.